All right, we are recording on two softwares now.
Good.
And my computer doesn't sound like it's going to take off because I finally blew out the 3 inches of dust inside of it. So it's quiet and cool and behaving.
Wow.
So, dude, there was so much dust. I was under my desk. I was like, oh, it can't be that bad. I opened up the side. You could, like the little, metal fins that you can see on the heatsink, like above the CPU, like that little, metal circle, typically.
Yeah.
It was you couldn't see the metal anymore, and you couldn't see the gaps anymore. I was like, how did this computer run as long as it did without being able to breathe?
Jesus.
So I blew it all out and vacuumed, and I was like, wow, this is brutal. So everything can breathe and everything is cool now. I think I cooled it by like 15 degrees too. It was perfect. All right.
Damn.
Yeah. So all right. On this episode of This is Game Boy, a surprising lack of actual dragons. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, boop, boop. I actually know our theme now, so
Good job.
yeah, I don't mix up frame savers and retronauts anymore. Oh boy. All right. Hello everyone. Welcome to another fun-filled episode of This is Game Boy. I am eBloodyCandy, and with me, as always in the big episodes, is Willy.
Hello, everybody.
I guess not always.
Everybody not live and live, of course.
90,
watching, hello.
99% of the time, Willy and I. Unless it's Battletoads, then it's Hero and Willy. Because Battletoads is a bad game. But yeah, again, live streaming this, and recording on Retro Gaming Live TV, and then obviously recording offline for those that like to listen on YouTube and SoundCloud and what other podcast provider that you listen on. So giving it to you in all different directions right now. Before we dive into this action-packed, fistful episode here, Mo, what have you been up to?
I've been playing some games.
I see that.
It's been a while since I actually played. Well, I didn't play many games. I've just been playing long games, I guess. But I'll start with what I've been playing on Game Boy, actually. I'm getting close to 500 games complete. Well, not technically, that's not true, because I did play Gen 2, 3, and 4 of Pokemon already, so those don't count. But because I always do Pokemon when we get to 100 games. But let's say I'm almost done with 500 games on Game Boy. I think I have 2 left or something like that. But yeah, I haven't been playing many of them. But I did finish Bomberman GB3. That's a Bomberman game that only came out in Japan, sadly. I don't know why, because all the other ones came out in Europe and the US, so it's weird that they didn't port this one. But there is a fan translation. Not that you technically need it, of course, because it's Bomberman. I mean, it's pretty easy to find out how to play Bomberman. But they do put in some mechanics there that might need a little explanation before you understand completely how to do it. And so far, this is the best and easiest classic Bomberman game I've played on Game Boy. I've done the first one, which is great until you come to the final boss. And you will be hearing more about that in a future episode, actually. I've done Wario Blast, which I think is Bomberman 2 in Japan. We got Wario Blast for some reason. They just put another character in there. But yeah, in Japan, it's just a normal Bomberman game. That one is alright. Just a little lengthy because of how some of the stages work. But yeah, this is probably the most unique classic one. It actually has like more stages and not just fights like in the other two. So yeah, it's probably the best and the easiest one because you get overpowered way too quickly in this one because you can buy upgrades. But I had a lot of fun playing it, and all the bosses were fun to play. So
Well,
it's a good game.
we had Atomic Punk too, featuring Bomberman.
That's Dino Blaster, which I
Oh,
think is Bomberman 4. I don't know. It's weird. It's just like that licensing thing. It's for Bomberman. It's weird. Like 1 is 2 and 3 is 15 and 7 is Wario Blast. Who even knows? It's just Bomberman. But yeah, Dino Blaster is Atomic Punk or Bomberman, whatever number it is. I haven't done that one yet. That's the last classic one I have to do. But you also have the platforming Bomberman game on Game Boy, which is really cool. Is that just Pocket or is that the Game Boy Color one? Can't remember.
I don't remember.
Game, the Game Boy Color one is also really cool, actually. That's a Zelda clone.
Yep.
So that's a really good one as well. I've also played, by your request, Masakari Densetsu
So
Kintaru Action
good.
Hand. That's
So
a
good.
really fun game. Luckily, again, there is a translation for this. Not so much for the gameplay again, but because it's actually a very funny game.
Yeah.
I think it's based on a manga or an anime for sure, and it tells the first arc of the story. But it has a translation. It's a very funny game, and I loved it until I got to a point where you needed to do something that was never explained in the game. And I lost literally all my lives and upgrades because of that. So the end for me was way harder than it should have been because I didn't game over completely, and I think there's passwords anyways. But yeah, I lost all my one-ups, and the end got a lot harder because of that. But that's a really cool game, which we should probably do a full episode on because nobody's gonna know this game at all.
I want to play the RPG of it too because there's two of the
Yeah,
games. There's the platformer which I had you play, and then there's the RPG which I need to see if there's a translation hack
there
for.
is not.
Yeah, I
No,
figured there
I looked
wasn't.
it up. But yeah, that is literally the sequel to this. So when this game ends, it's like somebody says like you need some training, blah blah blah, to become a better sumo wrestler, I guess, or action hero, and then he's like, yeah, we're going to Kyoto or Tokyo to train you, and I think that's where the second game takes off. But that's
Gotcha.
an RPG,
Yeah.
so unless it gets translated, we will not be able to play. But it looks really good actually, so
Yeah.
I
I
hope they do.
I tried to play the RPG a bit because I don't obviously don't know Japanese, but I was like, I wonder how far I can get into it. And for like the little bit I could play was actually pretty fun. But the
Mm-hmm.
platformer version I had you play up until the very end where you had to swing the axe to swing on the logs, everything was perfectly fine.
Yeah, that mechanic is a little weird, but
Yeah,
that's not even the thing I'm talking about. So, but
yeah,
yeah, if we do an episode on it, we'll dive more into it. But if you don't know the game, check it out. Masakari
super cool game.
Densetsu Kintaru Action Han, and it has a translation.
It's a super cool game.
Um, yeah, I've also been playing Paperboy 2.
Gross.
Look, I never grew up with Paperboy. I'm sure Paperboy is fine on Nintendo and Super Nintendo and things like that, but Paperboy on Game Boy is literally unplayable because the screen is too zoomed in. Like, you cannot see anything coming, so it's all just play and pray, basically, to get through that game. Sadly, unlike Paperboy 1, where you just have to get through a week. In this game, you have 3 streets you have to do basically, like easy street, medium street, and hard street. They're all different, so it's not just a difficulty spike. They are actually different, and you need to get through all 3 of them, each having 7 days, of course, because Sunday newspapers. I still don't get it. That's a thing we don't really have. Sunday newspapers are like free newspapers you can pick up at like bakeries and things like that. We don't have genuine newspapers on Sunday here, so that sucks. That it's 7 days a week. But yeah, I'm currently on Medium Street, which I just played for like half an hour or something, but it already took me like 4 hours to get through Easy Street, so it's gonna take a while before I beat that game. But yeah, I never played Paperboy on Game Boy. That's all I can say. I don't even know how the speedrunners are doing it. It's crazy to see.
Paperboy Game Boy is rough. Like a Paperboy NES is fine because you can find like that safe like avenue, like that little safe valley where nothing can hurt you, so you can just run that straight line and just throw your paper. But there's something with the Game Boy, like it's not just like the zoom in, like that's hard enough, but like the hitboxes are different as well on the Game Boy. So there is no safe line, at least from what I can tell in the Game Boy. It's just literally memorizing the game, which sucks.
Yeah, plus you can't even do it because it's all RNG anyway,
Yeah.
so it's not like it's the same thing every time. And even in this version, in the first one, all the houses are the same, so you kind of know at least what is coming up. In this, even the houses are randomized, so you never know what you're gonna get before you start playing. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll get through it. Like I've suffered enough with Paperboy 1 to know what I was up against. So, and this does play better, and you can earn extra lives, which is not possible in the first one. So, at least there's that. But the only way to get an extra life is by doing a perfect delivery. And if you miss one, you lose a house. So the next time you do get all of them, it doesn't count because you've lost one. So yeah, it's a whole thing.
The way to play the game is just to break all the windows and just keep one house.
Well, that does not work in this one. In the first one, that works because you can't have extra lives, but in this one, that is totally not possible. You need those extra lives for sure. Besides Game Boy, I've been trying to complete Final Fantasy XII: The Zodiac Age. I don't know if we've talked about our Final Fantasy preferences here yet.
Not yet.
But 12, story-wise, is the most awful thing ever made because it's just a ripoff of Star Wars and nothing interesting happens throughout that entire game. Luckily, with the Zodiac Age, you can skip literally everything, so that's what I did. So don't ask me what the game is about. Something, rebels and politics and Darth Vader lookalikes, whatever. That's literally the game. But yeah, playing it is fun because you can speed it up ×4 as well in this version. And I love the gameplay in 12. I think it's really well done, and I kind of wish they brought that system back because literally the game plays itself after a while, which is fantastic. Really, you're just sitting there. You do have to pay attention sometimes, but it's just fun to fly through that game. But I'm almost at the end. I just need one more random trophy that's gonna take me either an hour or 20 million years because it's literally RNG. And then I have to do like the extra mode they added is like a trial mode or a battle mode. I have 20 fights left there, and then I'm completely done with it. And I don't think I'm ever gonna play Final Fantasy 12 again after that, even though I like the gameplay. But it's just not one of the ones I would pick back up again. I just wanted to do it for once. I wanted to complete the game because that's what I do, of course. But definitely when it comes to RPGs, I always want to find everything and do all the extra bosses and things like that. So I'm just finally doing it so I can get rid of it completely. Then I've played Beardblade, which is a game that I luckily won on Twitter with a raffle. But it's a game that I had seen like 2 years ago or something while watching Indie Land, which is something that Gerard Khalil, a completionist, organizes twice a year, where they show off indie games and they do it for charity. I think it's for like dementia. I think it's a charity drive, but it's all with indie developers and they're showing off their new games or the games they're working on currently. So I had seen that game, and it looked really cool. It's just a simple platformer. I would say, but it's definitely inspired by games like Donkey Kong Country, Wario Land, even Sonic a little bit in some stages. And it has amazing soundtrack. I absolutely love the soundtrack.
Nice.
It plays really well. And for now, you can only get it on Steam, I believe. And I'm not sure what their plans are for console versions, but if you want like a really smooth platforming game where you have to do a little bit of exploration to find like hidden items and things like that, it's a amazing game. I really love playing it. I'm almost done with it. I'm in the final world as far as I know. And if you know Gerard the completionist, the character looks exactly like him, even
Literally
though,
like him.
yeah, even though it has nothing to do with him at all. But it's very weird that he looks so much like him. Um, so yeah, there's that, and then of course, I would be playing this Kirby and the Forgotten Land.
Carby.
Garby and the Forgotten Lands. Yeah. What a game. I absolutely love it. I think it's my favorite Kirby game next to. And I always say Fun Pack because that's how what I grew up with, but the Super
Superstar.
Nintendo
Yeah.
one. Superstar, there we go. Yeah, I will always call it Fun Pack, but yeah, I haven't had this much fun with a Kirby game since that one. Not that the others were bad or anything. I don't mean that, but uh, I just loved what they did with this game. And I'm almost done, but I don't know what to do anymore. Like, I'm at 96% and I don't know what to do to get the final figurine. And I'm sure that's not going to be 4%. So I'm just looking around for things that I might have missed, but I have no idea why. What?
It's better than Star Allies, that's for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. Let me turn some lights on here. There we go.
Star Allies. What a trash game that was.
Well, I don't agree with that, but it's not like this is in a league on its own. Actually, amazing game. Everybody should pick up this game.
It's an actual Kirby game, not a makeshift. Here's two power ups in Star Allies Kirby game.
Yeah, and the first 3D one, I guess, if you don't count
Yeah,
the N64 one, but that's more 2.5D anyway. So
that's true.
yeah, so that's all I've been doing. So what have you been up to?
I've been playing a lot of Kirby. At least when I have a chance to play Kirby, I've been playing a lot of it. I'm at 77%, but you know where I am in the game,
Yep.
so no spoilerinos there. Um, what else have I been doing? A lot of long play stuff. So I've been uploading all of my long plays recently. So I think I have 8 NES long plays up now. So from like Mega Man 3 to Adventure Kingdom, or whatever that Disney game is called, Magic Kingdom. Adventures of Magic
Right.
Kingdom. Um, and then I've been doing some Game Boy Advance long plays, which is a system I never thought I'd actually take a hold of because I just don't like GBA at all. But Egg Mania is phenomenal. Like Egg Mania for the Game Boy Advance, highly recommend it. It's probably one of the funnest puzzle games I've ever played, and it's a very creative game. It's really easy too, and it has like 3 different levels to it, like 3 different difficulties to it, and all of it relatively easy. You get like these little like Tetris blocks, and you have to build a tower to the hot air balloon. But like you have to keep everything like structurally integral. So like you have this meter. If it starts to go into red, that means like your structures doesn't have integrity. And if you keep building up without adding integrity to your structure, it's going to collapse. You have to keep rebuilding if it collapses. It's actually a really cool game. Um, then I did Britney's Dance Beat on the Game Boy Advance. Mo watched me play that. Uh, what
Yeah.
a what an exciting 45 minutes that was. Listening to the same 5 Britney Spears songs for the 45 minutes. And then I did what was the other Game Boy Advance game I did? I did American
Uh,
Idol. American Idol.
yeah,
That
that,
game
yeah.
was actually pretty fun. Oddly enough, that game was actually pretty enjoyable. WarioWare, the mini game, the micro mini game one, the one where you don't have to use the motion control on the Game Boy Advance. The other one, that one, it took me a while to play through it because I got really bored of it because it's the same goddamn thing for for the entire game, but it's pretty good for what it is. I definitely understand the appeal to WarioWare games, but it's something I wouldn't sit down and play for hours on end.
Hmm.
And I played NSYNC Get to the Show for the Game Boy Color, made by Infogrames. Um, that game is a heap. Let me tell you what. It's real bad. Don't play it. Don't even look it up. It's not worth it. I promise. Just because it says the word NSYNC on it doesn't mean it deals with anything NSYNC at all. It puts their names in there and it puts the band name in there. That's all it is. You don't do anything. You don't do anything music related in the game at all. So, it's pretty bad. But beyond that, let's see what else I've been doing. WoW Classic, obviously, because that's a thing still. And I finally started playing. Heck is it called? This one, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, because it's the only Splinter Cell I haven't played yet. And for some reason, none of the Splinter Cells work on PC anymore because Windows 11 Chaos Theory came out when Windows XP was a thing. So
Hmm.
compatibility is an issue with all the Splinter Cell games now on PC. So I had to buy the original Xbox version and install it onto the Xbox One to play it. So it's the only Splinter Cell I haven't played in the series, and with the remake coming out, I think within the next year or so, according to Ubisoft, I wanted to get my hands dirty with Sam Fisher again and see how much I loved the series again. See if I still kept that love for the series, and I did. It's still very enjoyable. The games still have a lot of replay value, so pretty excited. I mean, I have 120 hours in Blacklist, so I mean, I should,
Wow.
I should, and I have I think 80 hours in Conviction, so I should enjoy Splinter Cell games. Um, Pokemon Arceus. I never even finished Pokemon Arceus. I got to I think I got halfway into the game, and I was just like, I'm done. I don't know why. I just lost interest. I'll probably go back and just speed run it, quote unquote, just casually just burn through the game as fast as I can, just so I can see the ending. But otherwise, I just don't care anymore. If it would have gave me a shiny, I maybe would have cared, but I never got a shiny, and I got mad. So
Yeah, Pokemon Arceus or Arceus, or we still don't know how to pronounce it apparently. But that is the one Pokemon game I never hear anybody talk about ever. So I'm like, I guess nobody's really that interested in it after all.
I love the idea of it, open world, running around, hide in grass, and surprise Pokemon and throw the balls at them, and wildlife type deal. I love the concept of it. It's just I don't know. It's so monotonous and repetitive. Cause the story is just whoa, look at me. I got onto this island through the sky because time travel. And it's okay, who cares? A. And then B, it's you're gonna go join this team to catch Pokemon. Oh my god, you caught Pokemon? It's what am I,
Yeah.
10? Don't hold my hand like I'm 10 years old, please. I've been playing Pokemon since the first one ever came out. And I don't know, I get Pokemon is meant for children and younger people, right? But it literally treated me like I was 5 years old the entire time I played it. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be treated like a 5-year-old anymore. I just want to go out and throw Pokeballs. So, and it wouldn't let me do that a lot of the times. The intro is an hour and a half long of nothing. And it's just okay, I don't need this. So, that's where I was at with Pokemon Arceus. I was well, meh. I even deleted the recordings because I was like, you know what? I don't even remember how to play the game anymore, and I have to relearn how to play the game, and yeah, it's just not worth it. But yeah. So and Beardblade. So I saw you play Beardblade. Man, that'd be a good game too. Beardblade. And I ended up buying that and installing it onto Steam. But it's less than 1 gig somehow, so and it looked like there was a lot of game there for what it was. So I'll probably end up playing that somewhat soon. And then I want to play through Final Fantasy X because I finally got the PS4 remake of 10.
Yeah.
So I want to play through that eventually. I won't platinum it, but I want to play through that again.
I would not recommend it. I gave up.
Because 10 is my favorite of the series. I hate 10-2. I think 10-2 is awful, and that should have never been released, period. But I think Final Fantasy X itself is probably in my opinion, one of the best in the series. I think 12 is awful as well, too. So, 14 had its moments after the DLCs came out. Or not 14, 13. The one with lightning. Whatever one that's not the MMO.
13.
Yeah, 13. So like the base game was meh, but the DLCs made the game better, at least. But and 7 is overrated. It's good, but it's overrated. I'm not saying it's bad. It's a good game. It's just overrated. 9 is also a decent game as well too, but everyone will argue against that. So
who would do that? 9
I don't know.
Freaking awesome.
People love 8 more than 9, and I don't understand that either. So
9 for me is the end of Final Fantasy. Everything that came after it is just an RPG.
Yeah, that
doesn't feel like Final Fantasy. I like 10 as well for playing it, but besides that, it's like sure, it's there, I guess.
Underwater soccer.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
No, I love 10, but all the mini games in that game, which are needed to get the final weapons for your guys, are the worst things ever thought of in mankind. Like,
I'd agree with that.
Here, dodge the lightning 300 times. Like, why?
I'd agree with that.
It's awful.
I would agree with that.
But otherwise, the game is fine, and you don't need those ultimate weapons if you're just trying to finish it, at least.
I mean, that can be said for almost every Final Fantasy game. You don't need the ultimate weapon to beat the game. You just need to have high enough levels and material level to do it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's all I've been up. Oh, and then retro stuff and the physical versions of retro stuff for legs, but people already know about that stuff, and we talked about it in the closing now anyway. So, so yeah, that's really all I've been up to lately. It's just long plays and getting YouTube up and running. So, so yeah, with all of that was a long update for us. It's been a while since we had an actual intro because we've been so busy with other things.
Yeah, with not playing video games.
Yeah, with not playing video games. So it was nice to have an intro there. It was good. But yeah, we're going to take a quick short break here. When we come back, we're going to dive into Double Dragon for the Game Boy. So stay tuned.
You Double Dragon music.
I forgot to open it. It's going to be
honestly not the best version of these songs. For some reason, they're not really.
Oh,
they're missing something.
Definitely not missing treble, that's for sure.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, the music for the most part ain't bad, but it's missing. It's like missing like bass or something to it.
Yeah, it's missing. It's the same tracks you know from NES, of course, but there's just something not quite right.
It's like missing like a piece of a track.
Yeah.
I think this was the intro to Frame Savers. The opening to Double Dragon Game Boy. I think was the intro to Frame Savers.
I don't remember actually.
Ba-dum-ba-dum. Ba-dum-bum-bum. All right. You good?
I am good, yes.
Cool. Oh, my notes went away. My phone locked. All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. So, generally, we just go right into the general overview, but Mo did some deep diving into some Double Dragon history. It looks like so. I'll let you take
Yeah.
it away.
Yeah, it's just gonna be a short overview, but it's just nice to know where Double Dragon comes from because most people know Double Dragon. You've probably played a Double Dragon game, even if you're as old as us or like much younger than us. Like Double Dragon is definitely a well-known franchise, and the best thing that came out the last few years of it, and I think they just re-released this is Double Dragon Neon, of
Yep.
course, which is an amazing game. It's a really good game. Sadly, there's also Double Dragon 4, which everybody ignores because it's a piece of garbage, but it exists at least, and I think they also released the arcade versions 1, 2, and 3, if I remember correctly, a few years ago on Steam and consoles. But yeah, Double Dragon actually is not its own thing as you might think. First, Technos, I guess, made Kunio, the arcade game, and people definitely know Kunio as well because there are 7 million games in that series. At least the arcade version of Kunio was called Renegade in the US. And Renegade also came in the Did I say US or NES? Now I'm
U.S.
yeah, okay, in the US. So it came out as Renegade in the arcade in the US, and it got converted into an NES game that everybody knows. But that original Kunio game was basically the start of beat 'em ups. Um, it was very, very standard where it was only one screen where enemies would spawn in from left and right. You remain on that screen until you've beaten the boss, and then you went on to the next setting, basically. But after a while, they made a spin off to that Kunio game or Renegade, and that one was actually called Double Dragon. So, yeah, it didn't start as its own thing at all. It was just a continuation of the series, but they wanted to steer away from the franchise they set up with Kunio. Kunio later became much more recognizable, I guess, in the US and the EU as River City Ransom. I don't remember the European name for that game. I know it's something else, but that's definitely one that everybody knows, and everybody knows those type of characters, like the squished in little guys that keep fighting, and they have been getting used in like all kinds of spin-off games ever since, like sports games, silly sports games actually, and latest like release of it is basically River City Girls, which came out a few years ago, and I think Zero River City Girls Zero is coming out soon. So
It was called Street Gangs in Europe and Australia.
there we go. Yeah, I knew it was a different name, but yeah, everybody knows those characters, but also everybody knows the Double Dragon characters, of course. But if you've never played the arcade version, definitely check it out. And that's all I'm gonna say. Check it out because it is not fun to play at all. It was a masterpiece back in the day with what they tried to do because it supported 2 players. It had the first beat 'em up where you could travel through a level. It had many enemies and many different moves you could use. Sadly, it runs at like 2 frames per second. Like the original arcade cabinet runs at like 2 frames per second. It's unbelievable how slow that game plays, and it's, in my opinion, at least not even worth playing because of that. But luckily, the game got ported to NES, and that was a really, really good version of the game. I'm sure everybody played the NES version at one point in their life. Yeah, that's just a fantastic game. And later on, of course, it needed to get ported to Game Boy as well, and that's the one we're gonna be talking about. But you can see the Kunio influences on Game Boy actually because of Double Dragon 2 on Game Boy. That is actually not Double Dragon at all because it came out in Japan as another Kunio game, very much resembling what they set up in Renegade, but then with moving stages basically where you could go on. But if you remember in Renegade, you start at like a platform at a train and you can punch or kick people off of the train platform. They kept those parts in the Game Boy version as well. But yeah, in Japan, it's like you are playing with the Kunio characters, but of course, because Double Dragon was way more popular, yeah, overseas, like in the US and in the EU, they actually changed all the sprites to the Double Dragon characters and made the story more about the Double Dragon characters. But they also kind of changed the mechanics a little bit. So they are technically two different games, even though 75% of it is the same. But it's really cool to check out both games and see how much they differ from each other. But yeah, of course, we're not going to be talking about Double Dragon 2. Maybe in a later episode we can take a deeper look into that game. But we will be talking about the original port, quote unquote, from the NES version of Double Dragon. So again, not the arcade version at all.
It's definitely a quote unquote because
Yeah.
the Game Boy version is drastically different. Well, not drastically, but it's pretty different.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, like I like the I like the Kunio games on Game Boy a lot more than the Double Dragon games. Mo knows this because I was like, hey, did you see this game recording? He's like, yeah, it's Double Dragon 2. I'm like, yeah, it's way better than Double Dragon. So
Yeah. It's harder than Double
it's
Dragon 2 on Game Boy.
super hard.
Yeah.
Super hard. But I think they're a lot more fun. But yeah, general overview of the Double Dragon port for Game Boy is Japan got it in you Europeans and your dates. July 20th of 1990. And then it came out in August of 1990 in America, and then 1990 in EU as well. Developed by Technos, published by Trade West and Nintendo in Europe, and then composed by Kazunaka Yamane. I'm so good with Japanese names.
It's probably Yamane.
Yamane.
Yeah.
Yamane. I'm so good with Japanese names. Just knock it out of the park every time. Their most recent work is, well, Double Dragon 4, which is a little unfortunate, but it's not an awful game, but it's not a. It didn't hold up to the true Double Dragon standards, in my opinion. They did pretty much all the Double Dragon games that you can think of, and then they had a special things in River City Ransom. So, because River City Ransom, I think, has a Double Dragon song in it, even if I remember correctly. It's been a while since I played River City Ransom, so.
I think so, yeah.
But yeah, genre beat 'em up. I guess the game. It's a beat 'em up, but it's also a platformer on the Game Boy as well too. So,
or on any console version, they always have a little
yeah,
bit of platforming. Yeah.
but it's so much worse on the Game Boy. So that's the general overview of Double Dragon. The plot, you like the plot, so I'll let you do that one.
I'll dive into the plot. I think
the
everybody
plot.
knows.
The quote unquote plot.
Yeah, I think everybody knows the plot actually of Double Dragon.
Save your girlfriend from Bimmy.
From Bimmy. Yeah, no. Oh boy, that is it's true. Isn't wait? Trying to think now. No, isn't no whatever.
Bimmy and Jimmy, I think, was 2, wasn't it?
That I don't
I
remember.
don't
I do know
remember.
that it's Bimmy and something else in Double Dragon Neon where they actually
Oh,
made them
really? I
enemies.
never played
Yeah,
Neon, so
it's Bimmy and something else. I don't remember what it is, but it's really funny. So yeah, let's take a look at the Double Dragon story. So Double Dragon is a story of Billy and Jimmy Lee, twin brothers who learned to fight on the tough streets of the city. Their expert knowledge of the martial arts combined with their street smarts has made them both formidable fighting machines. But now Billy is faced with his greatest challenge. His girlfriend Marion has been kidnapped by the Black Warriors, the savage street gang of the mysterious Shadow Boss. Using whatever weapons come to hand bats, oil drums, whips, knives, rocks, and even dynamite Billy must pursue the gang through the slums, factories, and wooden outskirts of the city to reach the hideout for his final confrontation with the Shadow Boss, his brother Jimmy, which is actually, and this is I'm telling this from the manual, of course, from for the Game Boy version. That is actually completely not correct for the Game Boy version because you never fight Jimmy.
no.
So it's completely wrong. But yeah, whatever.
It's a port of the NES game. What can we say?
Yeah, they literally copied the story of the NES version. But yeah, you do not fight Jimmy at all in this version, and you can only play as Billy
Yeah,
as well. So basically, it's single dragon,
yeah.
and not double dragon
There's
on
no
Game
two
Boy.
dragons.
There's no two dragons.
The
Whatever.
only time there's two dragons is when you get the link cable in there, and then you play as Billy and Bimmy. So,
Yeah, then you
um,
play that versus mode
yeah,
against each other. It's not worth having, but whatever.
not worth having at all. But I'm convinced they because like the we'll get to the box art in a minute, but they literally took the box art from the NES game. I'm
Yep.
convinced too that they took literally the manual from the NES too, and just replaced the
Yep.
screenshots with the Game Boy. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that's what I'm convinced of that. Like I mean, it's an easy grab, right? Oh, Double Dragon on NES. I love Double Dragon on the NES. Oh, it's on the Game Boy and I can play it during a road trip. Perfect. And they play it and they hate
Yep.
it. So, um, so, so yeah, going into the gameplay now. Controls your D-pad moves you around. This game has the Z-axis, so to speak, to it, where you can walk, your X-axis left to right, but you can also move in a depth, so you can go on the Z-axis of further away and closer up. It doesn't change the sprite size at all. It just gives you the sense of like, hey, there's actually ground to move on and beat people up on. Your A button punches, your B button kicks. Um, if you is it A and B at the same time, you jump,
Yep.
and then C manual for extra moves. So you have in true Double Dragon fashion, you have the jump kicky thing. Yeah, okay, good one. Notes. You have the jump kicky thing. You have the spin kick. Let's see if it actually wants to work this time. There it goes. I don't want to download the PDF. Thank you. All right. This is what happens when you can't. Okay, here we go. Oh yeah, attacking the enemy. You got an uppercut. You got an over shoulder throw. You got a hair pull kick. You got an elbow punch, a low kick, a spin kick, a jump kick, and then you have yeah. I would like
Yeah,
to
those
see.
are all your moves. Yeah.
That's all the moves. We did it. We've done it, everyone. I knew we could do it. For some reason, like whenever I opened the PDF, it opened up my web browser to like my Amazon stuff. I was like, what? Like, well,
Right.
all right, we're gonna learn how to do the Clorox move and move on from there. So, in the NES version, you have to level up your character, right? So you gotta beat people up, and you get experience, so to speak, that allows you to unlock your moves. So, like that's how you unlock your spin kick, which everyone loves to use in the Double Dragon games. In the Game Boy version, you start with everything right out of the gate. So you can elbow punch and spin kick as soon as the game fades into play. So, mechanics for this game pretty similar to the NES Double Dragon, I'd say. Score based, so you get extra life after 2,000-ish points. There are
Yeah,
no.
it's either
It's
2,000 or 20,000. I don't remember
yeah,
exactly which digits it has, but it's when you hit that two in front of
yeah,
it, and you get it.
but there's no continues in it, so pretty similar, I believe, to Double Dragon 1 on NES.
I think so.
Um, but the respawn for this game is a little rough. You don't respawn where you lost your life. So just like in the NES version, when you die, you spawn where you died, and you can keep fighting throughout the stage. In the Game Boy version, you either start at the start of the stage or a checkpoint. 9 times out of 10, you're probably gonna end up respawning at the start of the stage because the checkpoints are horrendous in this game. So that's the unfortunate piece to die in this game is there are no continues, and the checkpoints are horrendous. So, which is probably what adds the difficulty to this game, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. You have to, of course, realize that this game is shorter than its
Yeah.
NES counterpart, so it kind of makes up for it, but it's still rough if you're used to respawning where you die from the NES versions. Because yeah, I mean, you lost all your progress in this case. You have to do everything again, and if you're playing badly, you can
It's like,
just get stuck on some part if you're not careful.
well, you just get stuck on the cave of Bobo. That's all you get stuck on. And then you game
Yes.
over, and then you play through the game again, and you get stuck on the cave of Bobo again. And it's just rinse and repeat from there.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute. Enemies in this game, your three main enemies are the Williams, the Linda, and the Lopar. I gotta pull up the manual again.
Yeah, Lopar is the guys that throw the barrels.
The barrels, yeah.
Yeah. In the NES version, those are the guys with how do you call that? On your fist. The metal knuckles.
Oh, brass knucks.
Brass knuckles, there we go. Yeah.
Yeah, so guys. Yep, your Lopar is your barrel thrower, your Williams is the one with like the baseball bats, your Linda are the ones with the whip. Then you have the Chintai, which is like these shirtless ninja people, which I think is a boss, question mark?
That's a boss at the start. Yeah, it's like in normal beat 'em up fashion. First you face something as a boss, and then it
that's right, it turns into
an
enemy. Just like the Obobos do, yeah.
Yeah.
This manual's all over the place, but yeah. So Linda's the whip, Lopar's the barrel, Williams in this game is the baseball bat or the brass knuckles, whichever they want to wield this time around. Back to the notes. Man, it's so nice having the notes on the phone because it's right here and it's crushed and everything is like nice and condensed. But having to jump between different things is a nightmare.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because I was ill prepared and didn't get my notes on the damn computer. So, so then we go into the stages, and there are 4 stages in this game. Stage 1 is the city slum, just like in Double Dragon on NES. You spawn into what looks like a back alley, and you basically brawl your way through the end there, where you face off against your Lindas, your Williams, and your Lopars. I believe there's a sprite limit in this game as well too, because
yes,
I've never had more than I think 2 sprites on the screen, enemy sprites on the screen at the same time. So I believe there's a sprite limit, so you won't ever be like overwhelmed, so to speak, like you might be in the NES version. But the hitboxes are, in my opinion, a bit weird in this one because of that Z-axis. You can be like below them and they can still hit you, even though you're not on the same plane as them. The hitboxes are a little jank in that, but one of my favorite parts about this is that like if a person's carrying a weapon, like a sword or something, and they decide to throw it, they can do friendly fire and hit their teammate, and kill
Yeah,
them and
yeah.
knock them out. So that's always a good time. But yeah, there's a sprite limit. Only 2 enemy sprites on the screen at a time, or 2 boss sprites, whichever it may be, wherever you're at in the game. So you have that to look forward to. So you can know you kind of know instinctively what's gonna happen once you kill one or kill both. So um, once you chug through the city slums, you get to the end where you face off against the I have the giant Abobo as the mission 1 boss. Why do I
Yeah,
have it? Is okay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
was
sure. It's a Bobo.
yeah,
It's everyone's favorite character of Double Dragon, a Bobo.
yeah. Okay, I was in my head. I was like, we just talked about the mission 1 boss, and it was not the Abobo. Okay, so in my notes, I have the mission 1 boss being the giant Abobo, which you can kind of juke out a bit. But before we get into that, let's talk about some of the pitfalls in the game and how they can either be your enemy or your best friend. So before you get into like the giant Abobo, you're presented with this like warehousey room, whatever else, and there's a big pit at the bottom of the screen. If you fall into the pit, you die, obviously, and then you start from the checkpoint. But you can use this to your advantage, because if you can push back a person into the pit, or an enemy NPC into the pit, they fall into the pit and they die. So if you're having a tough time fighting a certain enemy and there's a pit nearby, you should probably utilize that pit somehow. We're gonna talk about the pit mechanics here, probably in the next stage with Mr. Abobo. So, but yeah, the pit mechanics and the pit mechanics can be a little weird too, because it looks like you might be walking on air some of the times too, and some of the times it looks like you're on the platform, but you'll actually fall into the pit. That's
Yeah.
because of where they decide the floor ought to be, and because of how the pixel tiles just have to be on Game Boy. So do be careful if you are around the pitfalls. But going into the giant Abobo fight, uh, the Bobo fight is just a nonsensical fight, because he can outrange you with his attacks, because he's just so much longer than you. Um,
Mm-hmm.
what I personally found to be the most effective is to like run inside of him, punch him, and then run back, and then run out of his hitbox. Otherwise, he just grabs you and punches you and throws you across the room if you don't leave fast enough. If you stand too far away, he'll just kick you, and you don't think the kick is going to land or reach you at all. But no, it does. It'll hit you, and you just kind of have to hope for the best. Otherwise, what most people do, I think, is figure out that little like plane glitch thing where like, okay, I'm right below him here. He can't hit me, but I can hit him type deal, and
Exactly. Yeah.
cheat. So
Yeah. Cheat. That's literally how you play most beat 'em ups. But yeah,
no,
at least Double Dragon has always worked that way, where you can like diagonally slide to where you need to be, but they can't hit you. It always works perfectly in these games.
cheating is what we call that. Um,
Cheating. Yeah.
So once you beat the giant Abobo, you move on to the industrial area. So this one here, you spawn into basically an industrial building, and it's kind of a cool stage. It looks really interesting, honestly, because like graphically, like detail wise of the actual like stage itself, it looks really well done. For a game that came out in 1990, like the sprite work in this game is top notch. Like it's phenomenal. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, this is also one of the stages where they uh it comes back later, but basically this entire stage is only on 2 levels, so without the
yeah.
Z-axis. So it turns more into a normal platforming game, and this is also where they introduce the platforming mechanics of the game, where you have to jump over some pits here and there. They're easy to get over for sure, but the only time you go back into the 3 planes is at the end of the stage, actually.
Once you get to
But
the
otherwise,
roof,
it's
yeah.
Yeah, but otherwise it's just a two-dimensional
Yep.
playground, basically. Yeah.
The stage also introduces the everyone's favorite uh, belt platforms where they can move you side to side. The conveyor belts. That's what the word I was looking
Conveyor
for.
belts. Yeah.
Conveyor belts. So yeah, there's conveyor belts in the factory stage. Like what Mo said, this is your typically this is your 2D platformer right here. There is no Z axis this time around, and with it being a pretty vertical stage as well too, because there's a lot of ladders towards the end to climb up. The game will actually lock you if you don't defeat all the enemies on screen. So if you start to climb up a ladder and it doesn't go, you look down like, oh, there's two enemies below the ladder. Go beat up the two enemies and go climb the ladder afterwards because the game isn't kind the game isn't kind letting you skip stuff at all, just like normal Double Dragon games. So, as you get through this, as you keep climbing up, you go outside of the industrial building, and you're essentially on the roof of this industrial building that you were spawned into. And here you're gonna fight a handful of people that come from the door. Like you're gonna fight some Lindas, you're gonna fight some Williams, you're gonna fight some whatever else that comes out at you. And then eventually you're gonna fight the I already forgot the guy's name. The guy without the shirt with like the 8-pack abs and the super
Jintai.
muscles. That he's gonna come out here and try and beat you up, and in true Double Dragon fashion as well too. You can either fight him head on, which is typically what I do because I'm really good at beat 'em up games. You can do the little diagonal thing that Mo was talking about, where you can get on the different plane and beat him up. Or if you're real good, you get the guy at the very bottom of the roof, and you punch him a few times and knock him off the roof and tell him Sayonara. But I believe in Double Dragon 1 on the NES, you can literally just climb back down the ladder and despawn him and beat the stage. So
Yeah.
so I mean, if you're playing the NES game and you don't want to fight him, then don't. So, it's that simple. So, that's the industrial park. The industrial park is probably my favorite stage of the game. So, because it's the easiest in my opinion.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
It is the easiest in my opinion. But then we come across the forest, and this stage is the fun curve goes from about here, and as soon as you hit the forest, it just nosedives into not being fun anymore. Mo knows what I'm talking about. Every speedrunner of this game knows what I'm talking about. Everyone that did the Tiny 10 knows what I'm talking about. So we're going into the forest, and the forest to start isn't awful by any means. And by the way, like, it's a forest, but still, the sprite work of the background super well done, because there's actually like depth to like the forest in the background, so you can see like close up trees and far away trees, and same with like shrubbery and stuff like that. And we actually have a foreground foliage as well too, which is actually kind of cool, but it doesn't hinder the gameplay at all. But we do go back to the Z-axis fighting on like this trail in the woods type deal. And this is where some platforming comes into play here, where there is a bridge just broken up in the middle of nowhere, and you have to jump to the pieces of the bridge, because if you fall in the water, Billy doesn't know how to swim, and he forgot his arm floaties. So that's that. But the funny part about that one is that if you have two enemies chasing you, they try to jump after you, and they never make the second jump. They always fall into the water and die. It's kind of fun to watch.
Yeah. Like, most people know the forest area from Double Dragon 2 on NES, where you all have to jump on those barrels to get over there, which is the most awful thing programmed in the entire game, probably. It's totally not that bad. It's like very easy to jump over these bridges, actually. So
super easy.
Yeah, so don't worry about that part.
Yeah, the bridge part is the least of your concern. But as you keep progressing through, you're gonna see like the background kind of shift, which again is super cool with the game. it's not just the consistent trees in the background. Eventually, the background shifts and it looks like they're logging a piece of the forest, and you can see more of the background of the trees, like a shadow of the tree and everything else too. The if anything about this game, like even I hate the gameplay of this game for Game Boy, the scenery and the atmosphere that they did sprite wise, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal job doing the sprite work in this game. But as you get out of the forest, you approach the rock wall, and this is where you fight an Abobo, and this is your first roadblock of the video game. Well, if you can get past the first Abobo, this is your second roadblock of the video game. Because you get to fight Mr. Abobo again, because he decides to come off screen and greet you with his very happy face. And if you try to fight him one-on-one face-off, you're either going to end up in a pit or you're just going to straight out die, because there is not a lot of room to fight Mr. Abobo on the screen. You have basically two little strips that you can work with. One spans across the full screen, and the other one's about half. Otherwise, the rest are about pits. You look confused.
No, it's just moist.
Oh, but the rest are pits. The rest are pitfalls. And, well, if you want to know the trick to this one is to cheat and do the diagonal thing and push him into the pit and kill him. Don't fight this one head on, because you will not win.
It's called using the mechanics of the game. It's not cheating.
Just cheat and you'll get through it.
Using the mechanics. Yeah, so the enemies are not very smart in this game, of course, because there's like on the screen it kind of looks like stairs, basically. Yep. So you can stay on one level below, and then a Bobo will come in diagonally towards you, but he's still on a different plane than you are. So you just punch him a few times and he falls over the edge. So it's really probably what they meant for people to do in this case, to make it a lot easier, because otherwise this fight is just not doable. Well, it is doable, but it's just not fun to do.
That's because they knew the Abobo was impossible to fight, and they didn't change it because they wanted to watch people just torture themselves.
Yeah.
But once you defeat the Abobo, you jump down into this like bridge area. Think of like cliffhanger-esque type deal, where you jump into like this bridge area, and now you fight two of those Shintai people at the same time.
Or even, I think.
Is it 4?
Well, in total.
Oh, in total, yeah. Yeah, in total 4. You get approached by 2 at a time. So, but they're I find them to be extremely easy to fight. So, knock them out, and then you come across, in my opinion, the worst. Well, second worst platforming piece of the game, where you have to jump. Basically, you start climbing this mountain, and you have to do some choice platforming to get over the mountain. It's not hard. The issue with Double Dragon jumping, at least for the Game Boy, is once you've jumped, you've committed to that jump. There's not much wiggle room once you've made that jump. So if you're like, I'm jumping, and you're like, oh no, I overshot, well, kiss Billy goodbye, because Billy's gonna fall, and there's not a quick way to correct that. Same with jumping too short. So you have to know your jump. And the thing with Double Dragon 2 is that the jumps are pretty floaty as well too. They're not a very quick like Mario jump. It's a very like, I'm gonna float over this hole, and you're just like, I can make it. Then all of a sudden you lose momentum because Double Dragon physics, and you die. So
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, it's just a problem if you don't know how far the sprite extends from the ground, basically. Making that jump, that is the hardest jump in the game for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely a place where you will probably die. And as far as I can remember, there is no checkpoint at that point yet. So
Not
you
yet.
would start back at the start of the forest if you die there.
Yep. So so once you've climbed them, or once you've got across those platforms, you come across a big square with a door in the back. And if you like fighting a Bobo, you get to fight another Abobo right then and there. And this Abobo doesn't like to fall off the edge either. So this one here, you got to be a little creative with when you fight this one.
Well, he actually does like to do that.
I can
And
never do it.
I guess we'll incorporate the speed run section a little bit
Speed run.
into the normal gameplay. The when you are moving towards that part of the stage, you have to climb a ladder. And the thing is, you can like shift yourself to the left and the right a little bit when you're on the ladder. So instead of because you're going back on a two-dimensional plane, so the z-axis disappears in that section. So when you're coming off the ladder, you can actually nudge yourself so you are at the bottom pixel of the cliff edge, basically. So if you keep walking on that and you get into a fight on that pixel, and this is a trick that gets used a lot in this stage, particularly. You can also do it on the bridge, actually, but it's a little harder to set up. If you punch an enemy, they fall, they will drop off the edge, even though they're on the same plane as you. It's just the way the game is programmed. So you can easily take out a Bobo this way as well. If you're on the correct pixel, he just walks down, you punch him 3 times, he falls off the edge. So yeah, that's more of a speedrun trick, but it's also just a good trick if you're having trouble with the game. And that one is super easy to set up because of the ladder you have to take. You can just nudge yourself where you need to be. And yeah, like I said, it's the same with the bridge with the Chintai. If you're at the bottom pixel of it, you can do the same with those Chintai. You just like jump kick them and they fall off, basically. So, but that one is scary to do because depending on the screen you're playing on, if you press a little bit down too much, you fall off the edge, of course. So be careful if you're trying that out.
So cheating.
Using the mechanics of the game.
So cheating. All right. Um, so once you defeat the Abobo, you walk into this door, and then you enter the cave. You know, then you're into the cave. The cave is not a friendly place to be, because as soon as you spawn into the cave, there's a guy coming from your left with a boulder, and a guy coming from your right ready to punch you in the face. So you're greeted immediately with enemies, the one that's about to throw something at you, and there is no Z-axis to this stage at all either, at least not right away. You're on a 2D plane, so you don't have a lot of maneuvering to do to get away from this boulder. So jump kicking, I find jump kicking to be one of the best things in this game because I feel like I just have iframes jump kicking. So if you don't know what iframes are, they're invincibility frames. I feel like I get hit less jump kicking than I do anything else. So I did a lot of jump kicking in my playthrough of this game. Yeah, once you get through that, then you have to start falling down, so to speak, or jumping down these like steps, and you have a little boulder behind you following you. If that boulder hits you, I don't think it outright kills you, but it does a decent amount of damage to you.
Yeah.
And then this is where platforming gets out of control in this game. If you thought the platforming wasn't bad up until the cave, so as you get once you go down the quote unquote cave steps there and dodge the boulder, you now come across platforms. And the first set of platforms aren't too bad. The second set of platforms are moving platforms. So this is where you have to know how Double Dragon physics and jumping physics work in this game. Otherwise, you will fall into the lava or boiling mud, whatever it is, and you'll die. Because moving platforms in a Double Dragon game should be illegal and should never exist, period. But once you get across there, you're greeted with a couple of enemies. You beat them up quick, whatever. They're just normal NPCs. then you have the Abobo. So as you land across this thing and fight the NPCs, the floor starts giving away below you. And if you don't defeat the Abobo in time, you can't get through the door, which means you're going to die. And the Abobo starts on the right-hand side, you're on the left-hand side. The floor is falling away from the left-hand side. Try to get on the right-hand side of the Abobo and punch him to the left to get him off of the platform. Remember, this is no Z-axis. This is still 2D axis playing while you're still doing this. So once you can knock the Abobo off of the floor, the door opens, and hurry up and get into the door where you can get out of that cave, or out of that piece of the cave. So
Yeah, this is the bane of existence for
what a dumb
everybody who's not only playing it but speedrunning it. It's like Cave Abobo is absolutely the worst. We call him Cave Abobo because, of course, he is in a cave. But like if you're playing the NES version, he also shows up there, and he's the green Abobo, or the Hulk Abobo.
The Hulk,
but, yeah. Oh my God, this guy! Like, if I die in this game, there are two places. It's either on this guy, just because for some reason I can't jump kick through him to the right side, and then you're just done. If he punches you twice, you fly off the edge, and you can. Well, at least you start back in the cave. But yeah, he's just awful, just awful.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is if I die anywhere, it's either at the Abobo in the forest, or it's Cave Abobo. It's if I die the most, it's one of those two Abobos that take me out.
Yeah.
But once you get through the door, now you're into another vertical segment, where you have to like climb down rock walls, basically.
Yeah, this is the next stage, actually.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
The hideout?
Yep.
Well,
this is the first part of the hideout.
I always assumed the hideout was just like the last piece of it all. So,
nope,
all right.
Here.
Well, now you're in the hideout, apparently. So here we have another vertical segment with platforming. Luckily enough, the platforming in this stage isn't your biggest enemy. Your biggest enemy in this stage is getting hit off of the platform, because when you get punched, you get when you get knocked down, you get pushed backwards a decent distance, and you want to be pretty close to either the left or right edge when fighting something. Otherwise, you're gonna get flung off of the platform, and there is no vertical scrolling, so as you like climb, there is no I'm gonna fall down to this bottom platform again. No, you just die. The screen is locked, so you're just going to die, and that's just the nature of the beast in this game. But the benefit to this is too, if you can knock back the enemy with like an uppercut or something, they fall off the platform. So this screen can be either really quick, or it can be your demise, depending on how good you are at fighting. And again, there's no Z-axis to this. It is 2D platforming fighting at its core. So,
yeah, there's just one particular jump where one of the Lindas is waiting on you.
Yeah.
And that's one you need to do a few times before you figure out what to do exactly, because either you land on the perfect place where you need to land and the Linda will move backwards, which is what you want, or you land on any other pixel and she starts moving towards you and punching you in the face and knocking you off the ledge. It's a very particular thing you have to do there to be able to make it across safe, basically. All the other platforms are pretty easy, to be fair.
And then once you get through that platforming segment, you come across a section that looks like a storage garage, basically, with a bunch of doors. The screen kind of you can go side by side, but you can't go vertically up. You have to fight your way through. It's kind of almost like a little like gauntlet-y type little section here. Once you've defeated the enemies there, you get to climb up and you go back to the Z-axis planes again, where you can actually maneuver around across the screen again. So you get some more freedom while fighting. But you get to fight a guy, fight a few Lindas here and there. They come up, and then you have to fight some. I forgot their name. It's Shintais. You fight two of them at the same time.
Yeah, but these are pretty easy, as you can get one stuck behind a pillar. You can never do anything anymore. There's some fun tricks you can do with the background, basically, to separate them from each other, so you can just concentrate on taking down one of them.
Yep. I personally think the Shintais are one of the easier, and like once you figure them out, I think they're one of the easier enemies to fight in the game. And then once you beat the Shintais, the door opens. This is where I thought the hideout starts. It's once that door opens and you go in. Like now we're in the hideout.
Yeah, but yeah, it's the way to the hideout is part of the stage in this game. At least I think in the NES version, the outside part is just way longer, and that's why it's its own stage, I believe.
That's possible.
But here they just crammed them together a little bit.
But here is probably, this is where the game ramps up in difficulty.
Oh yeah.
like we talked about how hard the game was in Forest and Cave. The game ramps up the difficulty like no other in this segment now. So you're great with platforms, and the platforms are on a Z-axis as well too, so you can go in and out however you want to do. But the opening platforms aren't the issue to this stage. The first death trap to the stage are the vacuum. I call them the vacuum doors.
Yeah.
As you progress through the screen, you're eventually gonna come across 3 doors with a skull on them, and they're gonna randomly open up. And when one opens, it's gonna try and suck you in, and if it sucks you in, it kills you. Which means you get to start the stage over. Well, you get to start that particular piece of the stage over again. Luckily enough, like it's kind of like you have like these little like prongs that stick out too, so you can like move your way down there. But the problem is like you don't want to do like jumping attacks at all, because like when you jump, you don't have a lot of control over your character at all. So you kind of want to stay stationary on the ground and keep moving away from the door as it's trying to suck you, while punching and fighting enemies in front of you.
Yeah.
Eventually, an Abobo will come out, of course. The bane of our existence. Eventually, an Abobo will come out. But luckily enough, like the Abobo is really... They're all dumb, but this one I feel is particularly more dumb than the others. And
He's super dumb, man.
And he just kind of hangs out on the plane above you and doesn't try to attack you at all. So you can like literally just learn how to inch your way to him and just punch him off the platform. He is, well, yeah, one of the, I think the dumbest Abobo in the game. The easiest by hands down.
For sure, and luckily enough, the doors has stopped.
Yeah, and the doors stopped
during the Abobo fight, because otherwise it would be impossible
to
beat this guy.
Yeah, the doors stop sucking when the Abobo appears. Also, the doors don't impact the enemies at all either. The enemies are just unfazed by the door sucking. So you got that going for you. But once you get past the Abobo, you come across, in my opinion, the dumbest piece of Double Dragon Game Boy to ever exist. So you have these walls with rectangles in the background, and they protrude out. There's a pattern to them, but the pattern is fast. A, the pattern is fast. B, when you get hit, you get knocked down. And C, if the pattern is the lower one's going to hit you while you're laying down, there are no iframes. It's going to hit you again and push you more back. You literally have to redo the wall if you get knocked down, because it's going to throw you to the beginning again.
Yeah.
Dumbest.
So yeah, it's very dumb. Like, this also exists in the NES version, by the way.
It's not as bad as this, though.
It's basically the same thing, but one day actually found a way on the NES version where there actually is a pattern you can use. On the Game Boy version, it hasn't been figured out yet, or it is literally completely random bullshit that they're throwing at you. I can play this game almost blind, to be honest, at this point, because I really like this game, but this part if the game does not want you to finish it, you will not get
No.
past this at all. It just doesn't work. It's like, hey, I jumped up into the third platform. I'm free. I'm dead. That's basically how
It's
this part works, and it's incredible. I don't know how they programmed this in. I can maybe understand that it's on a global cycle or something,
that could
and
be,
that
yeah.
sometimes you're just super unlucky that you get there in the bad period, I guess. There is kind of a way to make it a little bit easier, and this is also a speed running trick for the last part of the game, actually. And yes, there is a z-axis on this stage, but the bottom part is actually a pit with spikes as well, always, like throughout the entire level. So you can
Yeah.
line yourself up at the bottom pixel again in this particular part. And for the death wall, usually you're safe. Again, you can still get screwed over immensely by this, but usually that keeps you a little bit more safe. But again, there are spikes underneath you, so if you press down a little too much, you just fall to your death anyway. So you
True.
kind of have to choose between just being lucky or getting that perfect pixel to get
Yeah.
across a little easier. So
Yeah, the like it would be one thing if it was just the protruding walls. The other thing is like there's platforming involved with this too, so you have to jump
yeah,
over gaps, and if you land on a thing and it decides to push and punch out and hit you, you get knocked backwards, probably into the pit. So what an awful segment of the game, just absolutely awful. Hate it.
yeah. There's no like it doesn't matter how you look at this part, it's just bad.
It's
Like that,
awful.
yeah.
One of
You
the
cannot
worst.
get around this.
Like I'm all for like game design and stuff. Like I've been trying to learn a lot of it because of Game Boy Studio. Like this is not good game design.
No,
So, but it
and
works. It works in the NES. Like
it kind of works there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like what
yeah.
most said. Like this is in the NES version too. I didn't have. I sometimes get caught up in the protruding walls of NES, but I typically don't have much issues at all. If I'm going to like
Mm-hmm.
if I'm going to 100% game over anywhere in the game, it's this stupid protruding wall right here.
Yep.
It's dumb. You can't jump kick your way through it. So, but once you get through the protruding wall, luckily it's somewhat short. You
Yes.
thankfully it's somewhat short. It feels like an eternity, but it's somewhat short. You then get to face off, I guess, in front of the door of the shadow mafia guy. But before you fight Willy, you got to fight through a couple of other people. So you get the chin tie right away. You got to fight through the chin tie. And remember what Mo said. There's spikes at the bottom, so if you can knock them off of the edge into the spikes, or you can just beat them up regularly. It's pretty whatever. Then once you fight the chin tie, Willy comes out with a friggin' grease gun and is ready to rock and roll. He brings a gun to a fist fight. So
Yes.
who's the idiot? Um, so so he brings out his machine gun, and if you want to do it the quick way, just line yourself up on the bottom platform, punch him, and knock him into the spikes and kill him. Otherwise, the fight is actually kind of tough. If you're close to him, he wants to pistol whip you or hit you with the butt end of the gun. If you're far away from him, he's going to shoot at you. So it's actually a pretty tough fight if you want to actually do it normally. I would actually recommend cheating in this case and just knocking him off of a platform and making quick work of Willy, because Willy's a pain and you've already made it this far into the game. There are no continues. Just get done with the game.
Yeah, yeah. The other way is, of course, like the first fight with a Bobo. You just use the diagonal walking
Yeah.
to line yourself up right below where he could hit you, and you can start hitting him. You do not want him to shoot. If
No,
you get hit twice, you're dead.
you are
Like
dead.
it's which kind of makes sense if somebody would suddenly bring a machine gun or whatever he's using, and yeah, I don't mean
I don't
you
think
would
there's
be
a
dead as well.
I don't think there's a checkpoint either in this stage.
No, there
So if
isn't.
you die to Willy, you get to start at the very beginning, which means you get to go through the protruding wall section again, which
Yeah,
means you're probably gonna game over. So just cheat and knock him
just
off the platform.
use the
And
mechanics. That's the way you say.
and then once Willy is knocked off the platform in a mechanical cheating fashion, um, your girlfriend shows up, scantily clothed, in my opinion. So don't know what she was doing behind the door, and she shows up. You walk up to her, and then the staff credits roll, basically.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah. So yeah, in this game you do not fight your brother, like
Nope.
we said at the start. So he doesn't show up at all in this one. I don't remember the NES version exactly, but is Willy not tied to like a difficulty level in that one? It's like
You gotta fight
you
your
always
you gotta fight your
you
shadow.
al-
So
no, in that one is Jimmy. The shadow is in the second game.
oh, right.
So yeah, you fight your brother, but I think I can't remember if there's more difficulties on the NES one. I always seem to remember that you fight him, but if you're not on the correct difficulty, you do not fight Willy or something. Then you get the bad ending.
I don't
At
think
least I
that works.
know the second Double Dragon works that way. You have to play on Supreme Master to
Yeah.
access the final boss. Uh,
Yeah, I guess I don't
uh,
remember. Like I always
yeah.
get 1 and 2 mixed up all the time because
Yeah,
those
well, yeah, doesn't matter for this game, of course.
no.
There's only one difficulty level, so you always will face off against Willy in the end. But yeah, that's the end of the game, indeed.
Yeah. So that's Double Dragon in a nutshell. Um, we can talk about the cover art for Double Dragon, which are very drastically different. Drastically different. Um, so the cover art you can see, or the box art you can see, is if you're watching this live, we're gonna watch the video of it. You can see it on the screen. It's the NES Double Dragon box art where it's Billy and Jimmy. I believe it's Billy and Jimmy on the front there,
Yeah,
flexing with their massive muscles. Um, and then down below is a just like an array of just like enemies that they don't look super well detailed. They almost look like they were carved out of wood. They don't look very well
yeah,
detailed. They're kind of just like dull. And it looks like Billy just like drop kicking them and Jimmy drop kicking them and with like a little bit of a cityscape in the background. I don't know. It's kind of a boring box art in my opinion. And it says Double Dragon
yeah,
and like the Japanesey type Western style Japanese text in the top. It says Double Dragon with a couple dragons and a red gradient skyline. And I don't know. It's kind of just it's your atypical like 80s Japanese film box art. If you've ever watched like old 80s like Japanese fighting movies from like released in the West, like old Jackie Chan movies or old Bruce Lee movies, it kind of reminds you of that a little bit.
hmm hmm
But the Japanese box art, though, let me tell you something about the Japanese box art. This one's sweet. So, and this one's a little spicy too. Um, this one has Linda right in the basically center of the box art,
yeah,
just button everything, just full detailed right in front of you. Like it is, if you were 14 years old, this box art would appeal to you immediately. Um, and then as you go into the background, like Linda is like front and center, like you can see everything of Linda. Then as you go in towards the background, you can see Billy with like a pair of like 8-pack abs, holding back his girlfriend, like defending her. In this back alley of like a New York cityscape with the Shintai and the Abobo and everything else like in the background, like ready to throw stuff at Billy. Like it is an action packed. Like it looks like an 80s Knight Rider like box art. Like it looks like there should be some like heavy synth music rocking with this, and it would meet the '80s perfectly. It looks so cool.
Yeah, yeah. This one is more in vein with the Double Dragon 2 NES box art, which I absolutely love. I think that's one of the best box arts on
Yeah.
NES for sure. But I'm just looking at the Japanese NES box art for Double Dragon 1. And that's literally Fist of the North Star. Wow, that's such a weird one.
What a good game.
Yeah, this cover is just literally screams Fist of the North Star for whatever reason. I guess they got inspired by that for sure.
It would have been around the same time. So
Yeah, I think maybe. Wait, I'm gonna check it real quick, but I actually think Kunio was inspired by Fist of the North Star to begin with. Uh, yeah, it was inspired by Mad Max and Fist of the North Star. There you go. Yeah, so that makes
I mean,
a lot of
they
sense.
came out around the same time. So I mean,
Yeah.
and Fist of the North
So,
Star was a highly popular anime,
yep.
very
And
violent anime, but a very popular one.
yeah, Mad Max was a very popular movie.
Yep.
Yep, there you go. There, that's where that one comes from, at least. Um, yeah, I like the Japanese one a lot.
I do
That's
too.
more my style. I do not dislike the Double Dragon One American cover, but
Yeah, I
it's
don't
a
hate
bit
it.
boring,
Yeah,
basically.
I don't hate it, but I don't hate it, but if I had the choice of the Japanese one or the American one, you bet your ass I'm picking that Japanese one.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I'm going after the Japanese one. Like I think it's sweet looking. I put it up on stream so people can see it. Like it looks awesome. One of the better box arts for sure.
Yeah.
When it comes to reception, this game is actually kind of tough to find like reception for because a lot of people wanted to tie this with the NES version. Um,
Right. Yeah. Like a straight comparison.
yeah, like a straight comparison to the NES version of the game, which is you just can't do that with this one. Because like yeah, in the end they're kind of the same game, right? You gotta go get your girlfriend from the Shadow Mafia, and you kind of go through like a similar like set of stages and whatnot. But like they play so drastically different that you really can't compare them at all. But just going by like what like newer players nowadays, like since like retro has become a huge craze and everyone wants to play retro games now. Um, like with the newer players, like people our age, just like playing Double Dragon for the first time, or like the younger generation playing Double Dragon 1 on Game Boy for their first time. It got okay reviews. It wasn't great. They're not oohing and awing over it, but they're also being like, it's not an awful game. It's your pretty average port of a Double Dragon game. But the one of the biggest criticizes of the game is the difficulty spike
Yeah.
of the game, which I can 100% relate with. The game starts off extremely easy, and then as soon as you get to the forest stage, it spikes in difficulty like no other. So
I can definitely see that, yeah.
outside of that, I mean, I don't really have any trivia per se. Like if you've played a Kunio game or a Double Dragon game, and if you play like spin-offs for like River City Ransom and things like that, you're definitely gonna come across like Double Dragon Easter eggs in those games, right? Or Kunio Easter eggs in the Double Dragon
Or the other way
games.
around.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like you're gonna come across them quite often just because like they're so interlaced with each other, and like the lore runs deep within both of them. That there's Easter eggs in both of the games, especially if you're doing like River City Ransom, like they play a Double Dragon song in the game. So, um,
Yeah, in River City Girls, I know that there's a shop where you can buy new moves, and the guy who is selling it is either Billy or Jimmy.
yeah.
And I think the song plays in the background in that shop as well. And he's voiced by uh, Dan from Ninja Sex Party and Game
Oh,
Girls.
really? That's pretty
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Everybody in River City Girls is voiced by a YouTuber,
Oh,
basically.
that's cool. That's
That's
super
really
cool.
cool.
That's super cool. All right. Well, with that, we're gonna take another quick short break here. We come back, we'll give you our thoughts and history of the game, which are gonna be probably pretty drastically different. Um. So yeah, stay tuned.
All right. I'm gonna lower the blinds here real quick and go to the bathroom.
Yep. I
And then we'll
figured you'd want some water or something.
I do have water enough.
Oh, look
That's
at
at
you.
least
Prepared.
yeah. Be right back.
Now y'all get to see how I choose music for the episodes. Now y'all get to see how I choose music. I'm the one that chooses the music for the episodes, not Mo. I literally go through the list of the OST and figure out which ones I like and how they flow into the thing. Like, there's actually a science to how I do the music for our episodes. No, I do it all. Nope, I choose the music and I link it to Legs and have her put it in. What's up, Hero? Yeah, I do all that. So like, there's a science to how I do it. So like, typically when we start an episode, we're kind of low key a little bit, like we're a little like So I'll play a kind of a high tempo song to pick up the pace, to get like people like, okay, like low energy, high tempo song, bring back the energy, because typically when Mo and I get into the game, our voices are a lot higher and our energy is a lot more productive during like the actual talking of the game. And then at the end of it, depending on how much energy that we've displayed at the end of talking about the game, so like in this case here, we're still pretty high energy after talking Double Dragon. I'll keep the tempo going with a higher tempo song. So like in this case here, City Slums from Double Dragon. But if we were like starting to fade out and like kind of go towards the end, I would have picked something like this or this. You know, something a little bit like slower and down tuned, just something to like help close out everything. Yeah, I do it all. So the hard ones are the ones with a bad OST. So like when you get games like Who Framed Roger Rabbit, even though it's a Capcom game, the OST is kind of meh. Or if you get something like like Fortified Zone 2, or not Metal Masters, but like the tank one. I can't think of Cosmic Tank. Like the OST is kind of like it's not awful, but it's not memorable at the same time. They all kind of just sound the same, like Rebel Saber 2 even. So like then you're just kind of like, okay, at that point you just gotta pick like what sounds good and just keep moving forward. I'm curious what. Let's see here. Oops. Double dribble, double drag. Yeah, it's the NES one.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, the Game Boy one's just missing the bass. Because like, I'm listening to the NES Double Dragon theme right now. And like the Game Boy songs are just missing like that deeper piece of the track.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, it's missing that deep piece of the track. It suffers from like a Mega Man 2 syndrome where it's really Like it has like the good high notes, but it doesn't have the deep notes in it. That's what it's missing. All right. I'd vote for a longer tune section, maybe double, because they're kind of short from time to. So I actually talked to Legs about that. So the way Legs does it depending on how much she likes the song. So if the song isn't great, it's only 30 seconds long. But if she likes the song, then it's a minute long. So
I did not know that.
That's how the music length gets determined. So I choose the music, and she determines how long it gets to play on the podcast episode. So, yep. Yeah, we were talking about that the other day, so it's kind of comical. All right, well. Welcome back, everyone. So yeah, history. We're gonna start with you, Mo, because I think you probably have the most history with this game. So I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, not with this game in particular, to be honest, but like Double Dragon 2: The Revenge for NES, together with Mega Man 3 and Chip and Dale and things like that, were like the games I constantly played over at my cousin's house. So I absolutely love Double Dragon 2. At least that was the only one I knew back then. I don't think I ever beat it on Supreme Master though when I was a kid. I think the first time I did that was like the first year I was streaming, and I was so happy. I think I still have the clip from it, and I actually beat that game. So yeah, I already knew the franchise at least, and I think it was the only beat 'em up game I played back then. So I didn't have any on Game Boy myself, but I'm pretty sure I played the first and the third one on a friend's Game Boy during like a party or something that I checked it out for a little bit. So I didn't deep dive into the game or anything, but I did like the first one. 3 is, oh my god, especially on Game Boy.
3 is special on Game Boy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not good on anything, but on Game Boy it's even worse. So yeah, but when I played it for either portable pleasure or just randomly when I was older, for sure, this was basically a very easy game for me. Besides the few stupid things that we mentioned that are just there, but I already knew the tricks of like getting on correct pixels to throw people off and stuff like that, so I didn't really have much of a problem with this game. And I think after I played it, I put it in the Tiny 10. That's probably how it went. But I did know that the final stage with the stupid dead wall was impossible, so I didn't want people to suffer too much, at least. So Cave of Bobo was the goal, at least in Tiny 10. That was the end of what you needed to do for that. And again, I don't have a problem with this game up until that point, except for Cave of Bobo. If it doesn't work, it just doesn't work. But otherwise, it's fine. But yeah. Everybody hated this game so much. It was unbelievable. But yeah, I think it's a fantastic game, actually, besides the final death wall problem. So yeah, I think people should definitely check it out. But if you want a better version of this game, definitely play the NES version. That one is also easier in general than this game, even though you don't have all the power-ups from the start or the moves from the start. But I think it's a little bit easier, at least, than the Game Boy version. But if you want the more modern approach to Double Dragon, I can not recommend Double Dragon Neon enough. It's more of a parody on the entire series, but it's like 80s as Bleep. I'm just gonna say bleep because it's gonna get bleeped out anyways. In
Maybe.
the end, maybe sometimes one escapes,
I
but
don't get bleeped out.
yeah, you're always lucky. But yeah, definitely check that one out. It's absolutely amazing and it's super funny. It has fantastic 80s styled music. I think Jake Kaufman did the
Oh.
soundtrack for the Neon version. Or even check out either River City Girls or River City. Yeah, I can talk. River City Girls Zero, which is coming out shortly. I of course I can't say if that one is gonna be amazing, but it probably will be. But like if you want a modern take, do Neon or River City Girls. Those are the best beat 'em ups I've played in like decades, to be honest. So yeah, there you go.
Huh. I played Double Dragon on the NES, and I feel like I played Double Dragon arcade cabinet as well. But I never like grew up with Double Dragon, so to speak. Like for me, it was Mega Man 3. It was Mega Man and Castlevania for me growing up. Which probably explains a lot, honestly. But it was Mega Man and Castlevania for me growing up. So like the Castlevania series, like I'll poop on them all I want. Like especially like one, because I think one is the worst of the trilogy. I think two is probably one is the best of the trilogy. Because two just offers so much. Like yeah, it was cryptic, but it just offers so much more value. Like it just gave so much more personality. But when it came to Double Dragon, the only time I ever played Double Dragon is when I went to a friend's house or if I was at a convenience store waiting for a friend to get done. And I tossed a quarter into the cabinet and played Double Dragon. Um, so when whenever Mo puts together a Tiny 10 list, I typically do a Tiny 10 showcase of the games on my own stream, not on the reveal, but on my own stream. And I was like, oh, Double Dragon. I played Double Dragon NES and beat it. No problem. Like, can't be that bad. Well, boy, was I wrong. So it started off fine, and like mechanically, like the game felt really good. Like the fighting feels good in the game. You don't have to level up Billy at all. Like you get everything out of the gate. I was like, oh, this isn't too bad at all. It was until I got to Cave of Bobo, which was when everything started to fall apart. Just the cave in general is when everything started to fall apart. And I was just like, this game sucks. Like, why is this in the Tiny 10? Like, why? Like, I choose bad games. Like, this game is awful. Like, no, and I told Mo, I was like, no one is going to like this game. And he's like, oh, come on, people are going to love it. The worst received game in Tiny 10 history. So,
I wouldn't say that. I know Lex definitely liked it.
Legs does.
I think Hero played that one as well.
You can't take Legs' Legs'
and
acceptance of a game.
Atros doesn't hate this game, but knows that it's very
Awful.
well hard to actually do because I think he has the record maybe
I don't know. Yeah.
or something. Yeah, so he does like the game enough to keep playing it, but he does also know that it's like not a joke.
I mean, Legs' first experience of speedrunning was me playing Shaq Fu for Handheld Heroes. So, I mean, like, can we really take her side in this?
I'm gonna take her side because I still think this is a great game.
I don't know, like if you can get beyond the crappy platforming in not the industrial park, but the hideout stuff. If you get past the crappy platforming in the hideout, and if you get past like just the death wall and just like a Bobo being impossible, it's not a terrible game. The OST is a little meh compared to the NES version, and if you're watching this live, you definitely heard us talk about it during the break. About the OST, just be like it's missing something to it. You know, it's missing like the low tones to it essentially. But overall, like it's not bad. It's bearable. It's not Mega Man 2 bad by any means. Mega Man 2 Game Boy bad. Mega Man 2 NES has probably one of the best OSTs on the NES. So, But like gameplay value, it's not bad either. Like it definitely has replay value if you enjoy the beat 'em ups, and especially if you're going into like how bad can I break the game, where you can walk along the bottom pixel of a pit and knock people off or do whatever it is. Like see what you can do to like break the game. There's a lot of things you can do to the game to do that, and a lot of people find fun in that. I personally don't, so I just don't do it, which is probably why I struggle so much with this game. So, but overall, it's not an awful game. It's definitely, for me, it's in the middle. It's not awesome, but it's not awful. You play the game to experience the game. But I personally, when it comes to Game Boy, prefer the Kunio games over the Double Dragon games. So
Yeah. Well, I mean, make up your own minds if you're
yeah, go
going to
play
check
them.
out this game. Like maybe you'll love it like me, or maybe you'll hate it,
Yeah.
like most people actually. So
Yeah, I like honestly I'd say like go play Double Dragon on Game Boy and then go play Kunio on Game Boy. I will warn you now, Kunio is a lot harder than Double Dragon on Game Boy. But I don't know, it just feels so much more fluid to me versus Double Dragon on Game Boy. Um I don't know. I prefer the Kunio games. But I prefer Double Dragon on NES, but I prefer Kunio on Game Boy, so
yeah. All right. Yeah, I can just add two more things, I guess. If you do want to play like the arcade version, but you don't want to suffer through 2 frames per second. On Game Boy Advance, they actually made
they
Double
did.
Dragon Advance, which is a remake of the arcade version. So
Yep.
it's unlike the NES or the Game Boy version, but that one plays really well, and
It
it's a
does.
lot of fun to play. So if you want to experience it, the more arcadey style it had, kind of with the graphics from the arcades. It's very similar to it. Um, but you want the game to be playable, that's definitely one to check out. And for our achievement hunters here, this game does have a set on retro achievements, and it's a pretty simple list basically. It's just beat the game, uh, pretty much, then get 50k points, which you will get if you beat the game. That shouldn't be a big problem either. The two hardest ones, I guess, is do not lose a life, of course, and then never use a weapon, which is easy in theory, but sometimes you just pick it up by accident.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a pretty simple list. It's 11 achievements, the score ones, the beat the game ones, and then those two specific ones. So if you're looking for an extra challenge above the wall of that, here you go. There's your list of achievements you can get.
Yeah, there you go. Speedrunning segment, Atros does hold the world record for this. It's 4 years old. It's actually a pretty old record in today's
Yeah.
speedrunning generation. But it's 11 minutes and 29 seconds. So he cruised through the game pretty quick. I
Yeah,
think
we talked about the tricks that get used.
yeah,
So.
I think this game blind took me like 2.5 hours because I kept friggin' dying to Cave of Bobo or the push wall. So
No. Yeah, I actually played it a few weeks back just to refresh my thoughts on this and things like that. And I played it twice actually. I played it on the US version and then Japanese version, because I wasn't sure if there was a difference between versions, and there isn't.
no, I think they're the
It's
same.
literally the same game. So yeah, because I had in my mind, oh, but Double Dragon 2 on Game Boy is so much different. But yeah, this one is literally the same. So it only took me like half an hour to beat them both. So yeah, I'm so used to this game, and I really like this game that it wasn't much of an issue for me at all.
If you're playing it blind, it's going to take you longer than 15 minutes, okay?
Yes, for sure, for sure.
Just gotta put that out there. If you're playing it blind, don't expect to beat it in under a half hour. Unless you're a god tier blind retro player, don't expect to beat it in a half hour.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think we need to take a break like we say in the notes all the time. I think we're just going to keep chugging right through here.
Sure.
Community events coming up. We actually have. Oh god, my phone just exploded. There we go. We actually have a decent amount coming up right now. It's actually pretty dang cool. We'll start with Retro Gaming Live, obviously, because we're here. We have Retrothon 2022, April 16th to April 24th. The schedule is live for that, so go check it out. We have a pretty cool little Game Boy block for Retrothon. Maybe go find it real quick here. We have towards the end-ish, maybe, if I could find it. All right, well, we're doing this live, and things happen. There it is. So we have a little Game Boy block starting here with not ColecoVision. I said not ColecoVision. All right, well, the calendar broke on my phone, but I believe it starts at 5:00 p.m. on what day is this? Thursday, April 21st, 5:00 p.m. I don't know what Skidster is playing, but I'm right after Skidster with shit. What did I submit? Rebel Saver 2 and I don't remember. Rebel Saver 2 and Shin-Chan 4. There it is. And then Skidster is playing Solar Striker. So Skidster is starting out the Game Boy block with Solar Striker, followed by Shin-Chan 4, Rebel Saver 2, or Max. We did a light episode, or no, we did a full episode on Max already. And then followed by Kirby's Dream Land, Super Mario Land 2, The Little Mermaid, and then we go into some Game Boy Color stuff with Brossentia, some Game Boy Advance stuff, Godzilla Domination and whatnot after that. So we have a nice little handheld Game Boy block right after that. And then let's see what else we got going on. Obviously, Friday nights. Friday night raffles are starting to make an appearance again now that we have some new blood in and we have some time and some bodies to do that. So definitely tune in to Retro Gaming Live TV on Fridays for some raffles, typically in the afternoon to late afternoon my time, which is U.S. Central. And then we have Power Up with Pride. Pull that one up here. We have Power Up with Pride coming out here. I usually have this stuff written down. Power Up with Pride coming June 10th to June 12th. It is a weekend-long marathon. I believe the submissions for this are closed, or they will be closed very soon. But they do have a volunteer form open if you do wish to help out with some of the chat moderations and restreaming and things of that nature as well. Midwest Speedfest is actually happening right now. So if you're watching this live and want to watch a speed run marathon right now, I believe mid spring, what's it called? Mid something spring something. It's Midwest Speed Fest. That's the organization. That's all you need to know. I can't ever remember the names of their stuff because it's just so ridiculous sometimes. But they're going on right now, and they'll be coming back as well too for GameCon or VidCon. I believe it is 2D. Which is an in-person marathon as well. And they were doing the Shaq. If you go to their Twitter, you can see them do the Shaq Fu dance because we run Shaq Fu at Midwest Speedfest every year.
Oh, God.
I recommend go watching the Shaq Fu dance. It's really good. Then we have Summer Games Done Quick, June 26th to July 3rd. I believe submissions are still open for that event. Never mind, I lied. The submissions are not done, or are done for that event. The game list will be live April 30th, and the schedule will be live May 7th, according to their website. This will be a restricted in-person event, so it sounds like they're cutting their attendance in half and putting in place a lot of restrictions. But if you are going, let me know, because I live like 15 minutes away from the venue, and I would love to say hi. So, we got more. We're not done. We're in prime marathon season now, boys and girls.
Wow.
Yeah, we're in prime. Don't ignore that. That's my upstairs neighbor's awake. Jesus. All right. So we got ESA Summer coming out now, July 23rd to July 30th. I don't know about their submissions. Their submissions might still be open since they're a few months out. But July 23rd to July 30th, they will be doing a charity event for Save the Children at the conference space of the Quality Hotel in, I'm sorry, Hero, if you're doing here, Malmo, Sweden.
Malmo, yeah.
Yeah, Sweden. So, so yeah, if you're a European or if you're looking to travel to ESA, that's when that is happening. There will be more coming later on, as we need to discuss some Tiny 10 stuff, because that is oddly approaching quickly.
Yes.
And
now that you mention it, yeah.
It is oddly approaching quickly. And on top of that, there will be other marathons such as Big Bad Gameathon, the Nescathlon from Retro Gaming Live TV, amongst other bigger multi-race marathons approaching later on in the year. So keep your eyes and ears open for that. Marathon season's always the tough, and there's what I mentioned isn't all of them either. There's so many more that I just don't know about because I can't, because I'm a human. I just can't, because there's just so many happening. I would say if you're wanting to know marathons, the best place to go is Twitter. I believe there's a speedruns Discord as well too. Speedrun.com. Their forums are often advertising marathons and stuff like that. So go check out there if you're interested in some of the other ones. Okay. Do we have any questions in Discord for this? I can't open Discord right now.
Hero actually asked a question, but I don't think we can answer it.
I can answer it.
I'm curious why the Linda character has no eyes, mouth, nose, etc. when all the other enemies got these features. Any thoughts?
Mm-hmm.
I guess because you can't beat up women? Like, I don't know.
No, we didn't care about that in the 80s and 90s at all.
That's true. We just beat up everybody.
We didn't care about that at all. Well, you see, all of the money for details went into the Japanese cover for Linda's backside. So they ran out of money to do facial features. That's basically what happened.
That's true. If you want features, check out the cover. There's many of them to see there. Still, technically, still no eyes, mouth, or nose though.
Yeah, they ran out of marketing money. I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah. There are features.
They ran out of the budget. The sprite budget got ran dry. Let me see if she has any facial features in the manual.
No, because you see her back.
No, she does. No, she 100% does. She has eyes, nose, and a mouth in the manual.
Oh, in the manual, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But not on the cover, at least.
Yeah, in the manual, she has full facial features. She's more scantily clad in the manual than she is on the box art. Man, what a era to live, huh? Jeez. This has turned into the Amazing Penguin episode already. But I don't know why they don't have facial features in the actual game itself. It could be because of the tabooness of beating up a woman. where they just didn't want to give it the
maybe
features. I don't.
I
I don't
doubt
know.
it.
I would
I,
doubt it as well too, because in roller games you get to beat up a bunch of women in roller games and whatnot. But
yeah.
who knows? But there's a ton of detail in feminine features on the Japanese box art, and she has a ton of detail in her face in the manual. So
Yeah.
maybe they forgot about her. I don't know. I don't know. They're like, oh, you know what? We got this other person here. Just throw him in. It's fine.
Those are all the questions.
All right. Well, I told you we'd have an answer for them.
Sure.
Whether it's true or not, I don't know. But you know what? I can make up answers pretty quick.
Besides that, it's just
We
people
didn't
saying either the game is horrible or the game is great, and me posting a Bobu, who is the best boo ever made, of course.
You know what we didn't talk about was the movie.
We did, yeah, but I mean, nobody should talk about that, to be honest. Oh boy.
We didn't talk about the movie, which is actually surprising because every game that has a movie associated with it, we talk about the movie. But
if it's a good movie, but yeah, the Double Dragon movie is, oh my god. Not even, and I keep forgetting this guy's name. It's unbelievable because he has two first names as a name.
Oh, the villain?
Yeah, Patrick is his last name.
Neil Patrick?
No, not Neil Patrick. The T-1000 from Terminator 2. Oh, why do I love this actor and I can never remember his name.
Robert Patrick.
Robert Patrick, there we go. That's him. Yeah, not even him.
I was thinking, I was sitting there thinking, like, who?
Yeah,
I had to
him.
picture his face. Yeah, the Double Dragon movie. Fun facts about the Double Dragon movie. Now that we're on it now, it had a budget of $7.8 million. Guess how much it made in the box office?
It probably didn't even break a million.
4.2 million.
Oh wow! It actually, well, it didn't make.
Well, it
any
did
profit.
do good. Yeah, it made no profit at all. It was a 95-minute film released in 1994 with a basically $8 million budget, and it barely made $4. So, and it's based off of it's based off of the video game too. Like that was the whole premise of the movie.
Yeah.
But
but they oh my god, they just messed it up so bad.
It was like, awful.
If anybody ever says that the Super Mario Brother movie is bad, they are wrong. They have never seen Double Dragon.
Never watched Double Dragon or Street Fighter.
Well, Street Fighter is funny.
No, it's funny, but it's not good.
No, it's not good, but it is funny. Plus, Van Damme's lines and well, Bison, another actor I can never remember his name, Gomez from the Addams Family. Whatever, everybody knows who he is, but I love every line that comes out of his mouth.
Raul Julia.
There we go. Yes, he's so good. Of course, I love that clip. So good.
I just love how Jean-Claude Van Damme was Guile in that movie.
Yeah,
looks nothing like Guile, but
the true American French accent Belgian.
The true American, not American.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a movie! God, we grew up in a time, didn't we? But yeah. Okay, now we discussed the Double Dragon movie. We can formally move on now. If there's no other questions.
There are not, no.
Alright. Anyone in chat have any other questions? Here's your time to shine, chat. You have 10 seconds. because I have to scroll my phone. All right. Well, with that said, if y'all ever have any thoughts and suggestions about the podcast, whether it's talking about uh, a French penguin with a suggestive undertone, or some spicy detailed box art for a beat 'em up game, let us know how we're doing. Let us know what you think of our hot takes, because they're usually the truth. We never lie on this podcast, not once. We never make things up. Everything is 100% historically accurate.
Right.
But no, for real though, if you have any thoughts and suggestions, please let us know. We love to hear back, whether it's positive, negative, neutral, whatever it may be. We love to hear it. We love to take into consideration to see how we can better the podcast, not for us, but for you all and for future listeners as well too, or people coming back to the podcast. Maybe they had to take a little bit of break or whatever because they ended up listening to the Solar Striker episode and was like, wow, these guys really come a long way, and and needed to take a break after that. So but and you can reach it's pretty easy to get a hold of us. We're not secretive about anything at all. We're pretty out there in public. But you can reach me, eBloodyCandy, on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, Discord, obviously. So I'm always available on Discord. And you can find our awesome, wonderful producer, SprintingLegs on Twitch and Twitter, Legs on YouTube, Legs, SprintingLegs in Discord. And then you can check out her project website, www.sprintinglegs.com, where you can see all of her back-end project stuff relating to whether it's Smash Bros. Or retro stuff like speedrun time converting, and it's where the Game Boy manual project is happening. Or you can go to gbmanuals.com and see what manual scans we have available for those wanting to play Game Boy games casually. We're always looking for scans of any type, even if we already have them. So if you have a scanner and some manuals, please shoot them our way. I have a pile over here. I still need to get the legs. Where can I find you, Mo?
You can find me also on the 4 T's: the Twitter, the Twitch, the Tube, and the Tinstagram. So
I was gonna say, I'm like, what?
it's all /Moelle, which is spelled Moelleuh.
I was trying to use that in the future too. I'm like, oh, that's genius. I'm like, wait a minute, there's only 2 of them with a T. I was very confused where that was going for a second.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Well, now we go into sellout mode, which is the best part of the closing piece. So we have a Patreon. If you wish to support us monetarily, we have a Patreon where we have multiple tiers you can choose from, which provide different levels of rewards for you all. From behind-the-scenes stuff to bloopers to Haunt Hunter premieres, which we need to record one soon. We need to find time to record one soon.
Yes, that is the issue.
We need to find time to record one. With discount codes for the merch store, things like that, you get a bunch of stuff. Just being a patron in the Patreon, we do need to update our tier stuff a little bit now that we are doing these live on Retro Gaming Live TV. So we do need to put our creative juices together to figure out some new stuff for you all on the Patreon, which we are thinking about. It's just time is not on our side right now. But we are always thinking about it in the background. We have a PayPal. If the subscription thing ain't your thing, since everything in the world is subscription based now, we do a PayPal. The only thing with PayPal is that we can't tie PayPal to anything SoundCloud or Discord related. So if you do support us through that, please let one of the 3 of us know. We want to thank you and reward you some way that we can through that. We have a merch store, merch.thisisgameboy.com. I got it wrong in the light episode, so
Oh.
I said merch.gbrunners.com, so
But you corrected yourself. I listened to it.
this guy, I didn't even listen to my light episode. So merch.thisisgameboy.com. You can get yourself a t-shirt and a coffee mug. The coffee mug you can see kind of right there in my background. The t-shirt is probably in that pile somewhere on my couch. And the shirts are nice. Like, I've watched mine since July, and it still hasn't faded yet. So, the shirts either come in Hanes or Gildan styled shirts, so it depends on the size and color that you get off of that. But yeah, they're nice. They're not bad. And we'll keep your eyes open. We'll have some other special edition ones coming out. Probably not within the next couple months, but maybe if something big happens, like we hit 1 million listens on an episode, maybe we'll have not a Solar Striker shirt, but maybe like an Amazing Penguin shirt or something. So keep your eyes open, ears open for that, especially on Twitter. What else do we got? I think that's it for money and stuff. Okay, selling out is done. Nailed it. 10 out of 10. If you don't want to support monetarily, 100% fine. Please don't feel like you have to. Listening to the podcast is huge enough. Like, we've been doing this for how long, Mo? 3 years? Almost 4. Almost 4 years.
Almost 4, yeah.
We've been doing this for almost 4 years now. And like I mentioned in the year 3 podcast, if you asked me if I would be doing this 3 years later, I would have been like, nah, we probably would have averaged like 10 listens and no one wants to hear us talk about Game Boy games. But here we are, approaching year 4, or end of year 4, end of year 3, starting year 4. There we go. Something like that. Episode 47.
Yeah.
Season 3 or 4 of the podcast. And here we are, still going strong, and listens are going up, so the more you listen, the more we'll keep doing this. So just listening to the podcast is huge support enough. Leaving reviews on the podcast thingies, like the podcast Apple thing and the Stitcher stuff and things like that. Just leaving reviews there. We have a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, by the way, because we're just 100% accurate informationally all the time. Never wrong. Always.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just doing that, listening, just being a part of the community, hanging out in Discord, talking to us in Discord, hanging out in streams, hanging out on Twitter, wherever it may be, just hanging out with us even is support enough. This gives us a sense that we're doing something right in a way. May not be 100% right, but we're doing something right. So
something, yes.
We probably don't know what it is, but it's something. So yeah, just hanging out with us, hanging out with the community is huge support enough as well too. And our community is actually fairly active. We had a little bit of a downtime, mostly because everyone is busy as hell right now. But
yeah,
our community is actually pretty active. We have a variety of people coming from sprite creators and composers to listeners to players to speedrunners to people who don't know what a Game Boy is. We have them all over the place. It's actually kind of crazy. It's pretty cool community that we've built so far. So I'm pretty proud of it. So yeah. Anything you want to add to that, Mo?
I don't think so. I think that's about it. I do know that Lex is not gonna be happy.
Why?
Because this is a pretty long episode. Weirdly enough, because
it's not that long. Well, it'll be 2 hours. But
yeah,
like the breaks were kind of long. We had a long a long intro before we started the episode. Then the second break was kind of long because you had to go do whatever you had to do. Like we ended up listening to like 2 or 3 songs during that break. So it'll be 2 hours. You know what? We're giving her this in so far in advance. Like,
yeah, 6 days in advance.
That's more than enough. She'll be fine.
She will be fine. That's not an issue. But yeah, I wasn't expecting Double Dragon to go on for this long. But whatever, we were having fun, so that's all that
Yeah, we
matters.
got to discuss Linda and
Yeah, and I hope everybody had fun watching this live at least, or is having fun listening to this now. Again, we do have a YouTube, but we don't have like an actual URL yet.
I've got the subs yet for it.
Yeah, so if you are listening to this and would want to watch the video of it, like it's up there. I always post it if I can the same day, other times a few days later, but I do try to update it as fast as I can. And I guess we didn't mention the actual website. It's just thisisgameboy.com. If you need links to anything, you can.
Oh yeah, let's not mention that later.
You can just go find it there.
Yep, this is GameBoy.com. You can find small little bios of the 3-man team and 3-person team. 3-person team. There we go. We gotta be whatever. 3-person team, 3-man band. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. But you can find everything there. So with that, we need to figure out what the hell we're gonna talk about next episode. Is it my choice?
It is. Yeah, this was my episode. Well, my choice.
I don't have my. Oh, I do. Okay, good. I'll say I don't have my list available in front of me. Oh man, we have so many options right now. Oh, that's Game Boy Advance. We don't want to talk about Game Boy Advance. No one wants to talk about Game Boy Advance. Why is my Game Boy sheet so messed up? Well, whatever, it's fine. Let's see here. We can discuss. Did we do? Did we do Hammer and Harry? I feel like we've done Hammer and Harry.
I think so.
I feel like we've done Hammer and Harry. I don't want to do Lucky Luke yet. I'm still frustrated at that game.
Yeah, we did Hammering Harry.
That's what I thought. I'd be surprised if we didn't.
20 episodes ago, actually.
20 episodes ago? That's why I didn't remember it. We've done... God, it's so hard to remember what games we've done already off the top of my head. That's what happens when we get old. We can do... We can do Bo Jackson's 2 games in 1. That'll be like a 20-minute episode. We can talk about George Foreman's KO boxing.
Yeah, we can now, but do I want to? That's another.
It's not good, but let's see here. Have we done Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes.
Shit. Did we really? What
Yes.
episode was that?
Oh boy.
There's no way we talk about Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
We for sure did Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Or maybe we didn't? Wait. I'm pretty sure somebody did Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
I don't know. I'm not finding it.
That is weird. Maybe we just talked about it during a Tiny 10 episode then, but...
Oh, maybe.
Huh.
Because Roger Rabbit would be a good one.
Yeah, and yet I still feel like we did it before.
Is it in the
like
notes?
in pretty good detail. No, I can't see it now. But
If it's not in the notes, then we didn't do it.
Interesting. Interesting.
Yeah, it's intriguing. Yeah, I can't find it
Yes,
at all.
I definitely remember that we talked in great detail about it, but I'm not sure.
I think it was a Tiny 10 that we did it.
God damn it. Why can't I find?
Yeah, because I'm scrolling through our tracks right now.
Hammer
and Harry was 27.
In Tiny 10 9, we talked about it, but I am so sure we talked way more in detail about it.
Tiny 10 9, what episode was that?
That was episode 11.
Oh, God. Okay. Episode 27 was Hammer and Harry. We did Top Gun. Oh, that's right. I remember Top
Yeah.
Gun now. Let's see here. Another Bible, Link's Awakening, Alien 3, Pingu, Animaniacs. Wow, we did 8. Oh, that was a light episode of Animaniacs.
That
Okay.
was light. Yeah.
Skate or Die, Spooderman, Crash Test Dummies, Last Action Hero, SGDQ, Toxic Crusaders. That was a fun episode. Darkwing Duck. That was our first big game episode. Night Quest, Irem.
I mean,
Yeah,
we
Tiny
haven't
Ten
done
Nine
one.
would have been the Who Framed Roger Rabbit one.
All right, yeah. For some reason, I really think we've talked about this, but maybe it was just not on the podcast. Which I am so confounded by this actually that we haven't done an actual episode on it. So
I am too. So I was either debating either Who Framed Roger Rabbit or Beavis and Butthead because they're both kind of similar. Both are oddly enough good games.
Yeah, I would rather do Beavis and Butthead then.
All right, we're doing Beavis and Butthead then. Hell yeah. I prefer to do Beavis and Butthead over Roger Rabbit right now too. It's still fresh in my brain.
True.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the next time you hear from Mo and I together, we'll be talking about Beavis and Butthead in the heydays of MTV. Because we gotta get to that Guar concert.
Yeah.
And then the next time you hear from Mo will be a light episode. Do I get to? Yeah, I get to do my moderator duties. Take that. First time ever. Feels good, man. The next time you get to hear from Mo, he'll be doing a light episode on. I forgot what you chose.
I'm just gonna be talking about crappy boss fights crappy final boss fights on Game Boy. And if anybody still has any suggestions they have themselves, please join our Discord.
Trip World.
You can post your thoughts there. So it's not gonna be a top 10 or anything. It's just gonna be a list of the ones that I at least know, and then I'll go over the ones that got suggested as well.
Final boss.
It's gonna be a fun one.
Final boss of Trip World. Every single boss in Viking Prophecy Child. There's probably more. King DDD and Kirby's Pinball is awful.
There are quite a few, but yeah, I'll be giving my thoughts on some of them and why they are crappy. And with crappy, it's not hard or too easy. It can be anything. It's just a way of the final boss being disappointing compared to the rest of the game, basically. So.
Did you know Beavis and Butthead is on page 1 of Zofer?
Yeah, well,
that's when you know you're in a quality video game right there.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Beavis and Butthead isn't even on Zofer? That's when you really know you've hit the jackpot. So, well, looks like someone's gonna be ripping music this weekend. Don't worry, Legs. I'll get you a song. Probably will be the Super Nintendo version, but deal with it. So yeah, with that, thank you all for listening. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all that watched this live for hanging out with us and chilling. Thank you all for chatting and keeping us entertained while we. This is probably our smoothest live yet because I actually had everything already in place, and we were on time. And this was by far the smoothest episode we've had live. So, anyway, y'all, thank you all for hanging out, and until next time, peace.
All right. See y'all later. So, are we still live?
Yeah, I'm muting you. 1 second.
Well, no.
What?
Keep me going. Keep me going.
All right.
Because I still need to know if Anthole has the capacity to actually host or rate from this channel.
We're live. We haven't started music yet.
Because if not, I'll just post a link in chat.
But we are.
But I want to say,
Go ahead.
I want to send everybody over to the completionist because he's doing a weekend long fundraising marathon for the video game preservation foundation. So that's the company. That's the few people that are trying to do their best to find like documents and ROMs and things like that, so that nothing gets lost over time. So I feel like that's a good host because that's kind of what we are trying to do as well with the manuals by making sure everybody has access to them. So if we could go there as our host or rate, that would be really cool. So that's what I wanted to say before I go.
All right.
Yeah.
There we go. I'm gonna run a little bit of music for the ending of us, and then that'll be it.
Yeah. Perfect.